Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Gary A. Swaby, and you're now listening to or watching the Powercast. And we will be recapping episode 3 of Raising Kanan. And this episode was called Stick and Move. I am here with Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. How are you doing, Rich?
Doing good, Gary. What's up, listeners and viewers?
Okay, and also here with Miss Dana Abercrombie, aka Starkness. How are you today?
I am doing wonderful. I am very happy to be here and to talk about the show. Yay.
Cool. And yeah, so I'm Uncle Gary. I'm Kanan's third uncle, in case you didn't know, from Britain. So yeah, we are here to recap this episode, Power, and basically share our takeaways from the episode and ask a few questions and do a bit of a deeper dive into the events of the episode and the season altogether. Before we start, I just want to remind everyone, you can find us on Spotify also by searching Powercast. We are also on Apple Podcasts, and of course, we are here on YouTube as well. So yeah, if you enjoy the content, please hit the like button. Consider leaving a comment. Let us know what you think of Raising Kanan so far and what you think is going to happen. We enjoy talking about all the theories and everything, so definitely let us know your thoughts. But yeah, that is it for now. So let's get straight to our takeaways for this wonderful episode. So this week I am going to go to you first, Dana. The spotlight is on you. So share some of your takeaways from this episode of Raising Kanan.
I found this wasn't a lot where, things were happening. This is the setup, I felt. This was the episode where it's called Stick and Move. And I kind of feel like this is the part where we set up a lot of things that's going to happen in the next episode and we'll get to see the reactions behind it. What I really did like were, yes, there were like what was going on with the drug deals and, the corner spots and people being arrested. But what I really liked was the fact that it showed more of the development of its characters in the sense that we got Jukebox and I think her name is Nicole and their relationship. Jukebox can really, really sing and so could Nicole. I think they do choir together. So, but I just wasn't prepared for that level of like singage. It was very nice. So I like to see that, we got to see their relationship kind of grow and grow deeper. And she wanted to go and meet the family. And she's like, no, it's not that kind of family and environment. No, thank you. That kind of thing was really nice. And then we got with Raquel and her relationship with Symphony, I believe his name is, with Symphony, and how I kind of feel that right now he's more of a, what's that word? Like not to say a side piece, but like, a little action Jackson and that's it. Nothing serious with Symphony, even though I think that he thinks there's going to be, something more either involving his career in the family or just, being a relationship with part of the family. I really liked Kanan and how we saw his relationship with his mother again. I really appreciated how they show what D was, how he was killed, and kind of how it affected Kanan. At the end, when they visited D Wiz's mother, and they were sitting and they was doing the prayer, and how you got to see Kanan cry and show emotion. This is not the 50 Cent. This is not the Kanan Stark that we know in the Power universe when he's 50 Cent, Harden and everything else. This is like the boy. You're only 15 years old, and I really like the fact that they're showing the character's vulnerability. And I really think that this is, it shows such great growth and character development. And, as people who know how it ends, it makes you wonder, well, what really happened to turn him so dark? For him to just not care and to have that little glint of, I would say, a psychopath kind of by the time we get to Power. What is really going on? So I really liked how they did that. And I also liked the focus on Omar Epps, and his partner, the cop, and how she was, to me, I thought she was a little annoying. But you saw that. I like the fact that, this isn't just another police, this isn't just another police officer that we're following or another detective. He has a backstory, and we have him fighting against time because he has leukemia. I forgot the full name. It's like normoblasty something. It's like a full thing, but it's leukemia, and he needs a bone marrow transplant, and he does not have family that's going to be like me, So he's basically out there on his own doing that. And I like the fact that they showed there was the scene where they opened with him chasing down the corner boys, and him being completely like winded. This is not something that you see like say in other movies that I don't know stars Gerard Butler or I don't know some other thing where like the cop is out running everyone and jumping over fences and parkour and everything. No, this was a really realistic take on police officers running after people. He almost got a heart attack in the laundromat. He had to say forget it. So I really like what they're doing with the show so far involved with that. And I also like how they're showing their next moves because we have the deal that went down. I may be like not getting this accurate, but the part where Raquel had to go to the big main boss, whose name I can't remember, but he had to go to the big main guy and ask for the supply and for the money and this is the guy who we let the underlings handle everything, but they make all of the money. And I like to see more of his story. I like how they tease that as well. So that was kind of it for me. I just really liked how they're developing the characters and how they're creating how they're setting up the universe, not to, the overall picture of where people are placed in the story. So yeah, it's a lot of setup for me.
Nice. Yeah, some definitely interesting takeaways, and it's some of that stuff you mentioned is stuff that stood out to me also, and I'm going to give my perspective on also. But we are going to go to Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. firstly, and then I'll end the segment off. So, Rich, what stood out to you in this episode of Raising Kanan?
Well, yes, I also agree. Excellent points by Dana. I have three main takeaways. Some of this stuff is very similar to what Dana mentioned. First and foremost, Detective Howard. I did not see that curveball coming of the health diagnosis. So I was a little surprised to see that. What I got out of the character in this episode is that it feels to me like the character is in denial about a lot of different things, because after he got that diagnosis, they had a scene where he was in the car talking to his partner, and has this whole monologue about, oh yes, I'm well respected in the community. Nobody's going to get in my way. When they know that I always do a good job. So it kind of tells me that the character is in denial, because even when he got the diagnosis, he's not really thinking about it too serious. He's just going to just sit by and let his time run out. So I'm curious to see how they progress the storyline with him moving forward. What we did see in this episode was, Rock reaching out to him, and pretty much once she got the information on Unique's supply, the next drop he was going to have, it pretty much was just a setup to make sure that they could shut him down with what he's doing on the corners. Now we know that as Howard alluded to in the previous episode, that he's rooting for Unique to be the one that is successful in this war, or between him and Rock. So for this to happen, it makes me very curious to see how their interaction is going to be the next time around, because even though they didn't quite, that little car scene was pretty intense, and the police car hitting the other car as well. Yes, it was very intense, but it was very fast. So, but obviously, only thing we saw at the end of the episode was Unique going back to the corner spot to see the corner that he no longer has control of, and then passing by and seeing Marvin and Lulu in the other car, which lets you know the beef and tension is real now, because it obviously it makes Unique feel, well, they had something to do with this, obviously, because why are they here? So I'm very curious to see how Unique's interaction is going to be with Howard, and I'm also curious to see how Howard is going to, how he's going to move forward with all the stuff he has going on in his personal life right now with the health stuff. So, but yeah, Omar Epps is a good actor, so I'm very curious to see what they have for him coming up next. My next takeaway from this episode, I really, really like how they are portraying Jukebox as a character, because like Dana mentioned in this episode, she had the scene with Nicole, the singing scene with Nicole. But again, it seems to me like every single week we get more layers pulled back from this character. Last week is when we saw that she was out selling the jackets on the street, the clothes, so on and so forth. And then this week, she had to leave Nicole to go and steal some more clothes. And you saw that her friend actually beat down one of the cops, and she pulled out a box cutter to threaten him. And I was like, oh, well, hold on a second here. So this tells me that the character can get violent if she chooses to, because I was not expecting that to happen. I know a lot of people, when they saw that trailer last week, the little teaser, they thought, oh, Jukebox probably killed somebody. But no, she didn't. She was just there trying to stop the guy she was with from taking it too far with the officer. And we know that the officer, I'm sure the officer, he didn't get a good glimpse of her, but he definitely saw them to some extent when because he wasn't unconscious when he got beat down. He was still very much, alert. So we'll see what happens. But, that it goes from that whole scene where she, you can see that she's tough, that she will do what she needs to do in certain situations, to once again, a scene of vulnerability where she talks to Raquel and hints to her, oh yeah, there's someone that I really do like, that I actually love, my first love, my first crush. Doesn't quite tell her who it is, and I'm assuming that when that moment happens, when she makes that announcement, that is probably something they're going to save for a much later time. I don't know if they're going to wait till, I don't know how long they're going to wait to do that announcement, because I think you said, Gary, that Jukebox told Kanan in the regular Power series that she liked women. But I would assume that some of the other characters might also find out about this as well, to some extent. But yeah, I like how they have the character, she has both a tough side and she's also vulnerable as well. And you're seeing a lot of those layers with each episode. So that's a very good job. It does make me fear what turned her into a cold-blooded killer. And I assume we're going to get that answer at some point. But like I said last week, I hope nothing bad happens to Nicole, because I have a very bad feeling something could happen to her. And the final takeaway is that, just like you alluded to, and Gary also said before we started recording, this is a setup episode with Kanan. I feel like throughout this whole episode, he is pretty much just reacting to, of course, still processing the D-Wiz information, but also adamant that he wants to do whatever he needs to do because he's trying to make some money. The whole thing about approaching Marvin with the opportunity to work with him, then being successful at selling the drugs, and then you already immediately saw what his intention was. He didn't even want to get the money for himself. He wanted to get it for his girl, Davina, to help her with groceries. So it shows you that obviously the character still has a soft spot for her, and is trying to make something work out there, has that kiss with her also towards the end of the episode. So obviously you're rooting for Kanan. But again, you realize that he is going to do what he needs to do, because he knows that his mom is trying to protect him, doesn't want him getting involved and all this other stuff. But obviously he's going to do what he wants to do anyway. So we're going to start to slowly see this stuff happen. As you said last week, Gary, there's only a matter of time before he gets through that door that's in the stash house. That's going to happen at some point. But yeah, that, and then I will also add into the last point of about this particular topic, as Dana mentioned, when they went to D-Wiz's place and they had the whole thing where you saw him cry, I'm sure the both of you, as well as the viewers, also saw the very last scene that they showed, Kanan's reaction as he's looking at his mom, as she's basically there to comfort D-Wiz's mom. That look made me feel as like he knows that Raquel is in some way connected to this. She probably has something to do with this, because the way that she came in there, she was just said a prayer for the lady, was just very understanding and stuff like that. And then the way he looks, though, like, yes, there were tears, but the kind of smirk on his face is like he knows, like you probably did something. Did you do something? Something's up with this. It doesn't really feel right. Obviously, he doesn't have any proof about it yet, but we do know that Jukebox did see, she did see D-Wiz get into Lulu's car. So at some point, that conversation is going to happen. I just am curious to see when it happens. But I feel like the character.
Dana, her face tells me she wants to intervene here. So
no, go ahead.
I interpreted that entirely different.
Oh.
You're talking about when the mom went and grabbed his hand and kissed it, right?
Yeah.
I interpreted that entirely different. I looked at it as like, it was a silent agreement between the two where it's like, you know what to do. And he's like, yeah, I got it. In the sense of retaliation. That's how
really?
I caught it.
That's how you caught it?
Because it was like, they stared and they looked, she gave a kiss that seemed like it was like sympathetic. Like, I know, you both lost someone. And I felt that she was good enough to hide the emotions to say like, I had something involved. And then she gave the kiss. He looked up. She looked up. And I thought it was like one of those, it's your time now to do revenge. No?
See, that's possible. The only reason why I don't know is because this character does not want him. She wants him to just focus right now on listening.
Yeah, she's trying to protect him.
But I thought that between that moment was like, it's okay. You can now, I give you my okay to follow down this road thing.
I mean, there's no real way to know for sure until we see the next episode. But the way I interpreted that scene was similar to Richard, but I don't think Kanan knows that she called the order to have D-Wiz killed. I think he's more so suspicious because we see earlier in the episode when he's at the house with the guy playing computer games, and he has that look, like he asks the guy, what did you hear about D-Wiz? And then Kanan's like, yeah, I heard that too, but he has that like curious look in his eyes, like he doesn't really believe it. And he's trying to find the truth. So I think it's more so he's suspicious and he's trying to make sense of things in his head. So at that final scene Rich was talking about, maybe a little something clicked, but I don't think he knows for sure, or I don't think he fully suspects her, but he's just a little bit suspicious, I think.
That was way off.
Well, no, I think what you said could still be the case. Also, like Gary said, we won't know, I guess, until next week.
Yeah.
But it looked like like somebody is trying to deceive me, and I have to question now what's up with that, because it was just an odd look. Like I've seen that look before, so that's why I think he might know something is going on.
You know what threw me? It was the fact that she stared at him so intently. Then I guess that's what threw me, because the way how she was staring at him was kind of like a silent agreement towards the two. I
actually have a question related to that later, like in the question segment. I have some stuff to say about Raquel. So but yeah, okay. I'll let you continue, Rich, with your takeaways for now.
I'm trying to think. Did I have any other takeaways? Oh yeah, the final takeaway. I only said 3, but I'm gonna add this in here as well. So we see that we got introduced to another new character in this, well, a couple different characters. Camacho at the music producer. This guy, this I thought was interesting, because now you see that Lulu actually has a passion for music and could pursue music. But again, he has these whole things about he's the right-hand man to Raquel. He has to stick by her and do whatever. And when I saw this dynamic, it makes me wonder what's going to happen to that character moving forward, because obviously it reminds me a little bit in the sense of, there are characters that we've seen in these power shows before where clearly they have talent and ambition to do something other than be involved in the drug game. And I felt like, for example, we had Drew in book 2, and the fact that he's an artist, he has these other aspirations, but now he's, of course, Monet wants him to just stay in the family business. This is a situation where obviously Lulu is the right-hand man, but he does have the support of Jessica, which is Famous's sister. And I also find it interesting, though, however, he still has a bit of a beef with Famous, because you remember that when Camacho had that conversation with Jessica about, oh yeah, my brother is a rapper. He just was completely uninterested, didn't want to be involved in any of that stuff. And he said, oh yeah, I understand. You saw an opportunity to go into business for yourself and try to promote your brother. That's fine. But obviously, there's still some tension between those two characters, because we already know that Famous does not want Lulu messing around with Jessica, and you see that relationship is now starting to evolve. So we'll see what happens, but I don't think that's going to end positively for those involved. We'll see. But those are my takeaways for this week.
Okay, yeah, great takeaways from both of you. I'm about to touch on some of those things as well in mine. So let's get to mine. So you guys talked a bit about Symphony already, and I believe Dana said he's starting to seem like a side piece and everything like that.
He's a bit nosy, a nosy side.
A nosy side piece.
Yeah, remember the whole closet incident with you? No, I'm confusing two people. Sorry.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What's up?
Is Raquel considered a Kruger?
A Kruger, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because Symphony is in college. He's he's studying for his master's at probably early 20s, or I don't know. And she's probably in her 30s, because she said she was 16 when she had Kanan.
Yeah, she's like the late, maybe mid 30s or something.
Mid 30s, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So my thing is with Symphony, because I do have a question about this later on, but it seems like they're really forcing this guy, into the picture, because there was 2 sex scenes in this episode with those two, Raquel and Symphony. 2 of them. Did they really need 2?
Gary was like, yeah.
Well, Gary, this is power. They have to. I guess they figure they have to have sex scenes.
I know, but usually.
And by the way,
yeah,
Marvin had a sex scene as well. He got himself some action as well in this episode.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
Y'all counting.
But usually in Power, if there's going to be more than one sex scene, it's going to be different people. But it was the same, back to back, Raquel and Symphony. So it's they're really pushing this relationship, and I'll save it for the question later that I have for you folks. But I just wanted to say one thing. Symphony, Symphony. Sorry. Symphony. He should have enough decency to put some clothes on before he sits at the computer. I
didn't know if that was a territorial thing, but it was weird.
It was weird, because if this is the first time you're staying over at Raquel's place and she has a son, what are you doing? What are you doing sitting at the boy's computer with your clothes off? That is just disrespect in my eyes. If I was Kanan, I would have slapped him upside the head or something. I would have grabbed a one of those thick catalogs with the clothes in and everything, and just lobbed it at his head or something. What are you doing?
But the mom didn't mind, which was okay.
I know, that was weird too. It's she's taking Symphony's side over Kanan, and it's wow, you didn't even take the time to introduce them properly.
Gary, it sounds like you want to call him Symphony instead.
that might be a suitable name for him. I don't know. I'll let the people decide that. But yeah, I'm just curious to see where this goes, and I will I have a question about that later, so we can expand on that a little bit. But that's just one of my takeaways, and I thought Richard was gonna bring this up, but I noticed they had your boy D'Angelo Barksdale from The Wire in this episode. He's now a character in the Power universe.
So
and
so
I've,
so so
yeah,
he
go ahead.
so he didn't get choked out in that jail cell. Then he survived.
Yeah, I guess he pulled the wool over Stringer's eyes. Like Stringer thinks he's dead, but he's not dead. He moved to New York, and he took over the streets and became the Connect. So
But he never
I
found
guess
Wallace. He still didn't asking where's Wallace.
no, well, Wallace is gone, man. Wallace is in Hollywood now. He's not coming back. So yeah, but yeah, it's interesting to see that actor again. And I know by now that the Power team are huge fans of The Wire. I mean, how can you not be if you're in this sort of lane? It's because The Wire it's like the foundations of these types of shows. Basically, like that is the show. So I mean, even Snowfall is taking cues from The Wire. Like, so that show was just so influential. So um, I'm sure everyone who even loves Power and Snowfall probably also loved The Wire as well. So it's good to see that there's a lot of homage being paid to that show as well. But yeah, the character is interesting. He has a weird name, Azumadine or something like that, but they call him Dean. I'm interested to see how deep they get with this character, because from what I gather, he is the Connect that's supplying both Raquel and Unique. So there's obviously a lot of tension that can come from that. So go ahead, Rich.
I just want to make a comment. You probably were going to mention this. So
Mm.
the guy that works for him is called Smurf, and you saw that Raquel now got information from him about
Mhm.
the uniques. That's going to cause some issues between him and Dean. I would imagine.
Oh yeah, yeah, for
Yep.
sure. And yeah, I have a question about that too. So yeah, we can explore that a bit more in a little
Mhm.
while. But yeah, that was it's cool. They're still introducing new characters at episode 3, so that's cool. And yeah, it was just good to see that actor because I haven't seen him for a while, and he almost looks the same. Like he might have like one wrinkle on the forehead or something, but like aside from that, he looks exactly the same as he did in The Wire. So you know that black doesn't crack. So there you go. And just going off of what Richard was saying about jukebox also. Um, I like that she has a lot of different emotional layers in this Power, compared to the one in the later version of Power that takes place after Raising Kanan and stuff, like when they're growing up. In this show she definitely has her layers. Like she can be smitten with her girlfriend one minute and then she's doing some super hard stuff the next. So I like that emotional range that Jukebox has. And she has a lot of strength to her character, and we see that in the fact that she's the one that kind of coaches Kanan. After Kanan gets the drugs from his uncle Marvin, she's the one that kind of coaches him and gives him the confidence to start selling that. So she's very street smart, and she has a lot of strength to offer people and everything. I just feel like she's not quite there in terms of the bitterness that she has in the later version of Power. And I think what might happen is that she is going to put Nicole at risk, because we see in this episode that when she told Nicole that she had to go and do what she was going to do with her friends, like the criminals or whatever. Nicole was like, you don't have to do that. You can stay here with me if you like me that much. But Jukebox wasn't having it. She was going to go and do what she was going to do regardless, right? I think later on, this is going to come into play again, and Nicole might end up following her or trying to help her or save her or something of that nature. And I think it's going to put Nicole at risk. And I think that is going to be the thing that unlocks the darker side of Jukebox's character that we we begin to see later on, So I think it's going to take like a huge tragedy like that for her to, start to become that later jukebox version. So it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. And Howard, that was an interesting, situation, an interesting layer to his character also that they added with him being sick. And I'm wondering what they're going to do with that, because obviously if you start to, if you get a life-threatening sickness like that, you're going to start living like your life is on a clock, and it's going to affect your decision making. You're probably going to make a lot of short-term decisions because you feel like you're not going to be living in the long term. So I want to see how that plays into his character. The fact that, he knows he's sick and he might not be able to find, a donor like for, the transplant and everything. I want to see how that's going to play with his psyche in terms of, how he's operating with Raquel and Unique. I feel like he's going to make a lot of erratic decisions now. So that's going to be, pretty entertaining to watch take place, even though it's under unfortunate circumstances, at the detriment of his health and everything. So, yeah, that was a real interesting thing. I kind of like that they added that too, because this is a very real thing, like leukemia. I've known people, with that. So it's not very nice. So it's cool to see them shed light on it and show that these are things that happen to people in life, So I kind of like that touch, even though it is sad. Going back to Famous's sister, Jessica, right? Is her name Jessica? Yep. So you talked about that scene already at the studio and everything, where, I guess Lulu was supplying the engineer and everything at the studio. But then we see later on that, Jessica kind of tells Lulu that, he could do that too. Like, he has the talent to be able to get into the music, and, music is a product. So the same way you're selling, the illegal product on the streets, you could sell the real product, like the legal product. So she's kind of motivating him to do better in life, I guess. And I think this is going to be a dynamic we see more of. And I say that because, before he took out D-Wiz, you saw that look in his eyes that was like, I really don't want to do this. I'm sad I have to do this. But he was kind of forced into that situation to where he had to do it. And so I think there is a part of him that doesn't want to do what he's doing, and would like to do other things, and, explore other things in life. So I think that part of him is there, and maybe Jessica is going to unlock that. And there is obviously tension between him and Famous right now, but we know that Famous is super into music, into rapping. And, so I can see a scenario where maybe, Lulu does explore that side of music and everything. And Famous, they might actually become like friends, because, he wants to rap. He enjoys, like, he's really into it. We see that, when he's with Kanan, he actually goes to the crowd of people that are rapping, on at the park or whatever, right? So yeah, I see, a scenario where those two actually become, on good terms and everything. But then maybe the street life heats up, and it kind of draws them back into the mix. So, and that can show how, no matter how much you try to escape these things, they have a habit of coming back to you. So yeah. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, I just was going to say that's a very good point. And you took the words out of my mouth. That can definitely happen for those two characters, but Unique is going to want retaliation after what happened in this episode. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Dana, go ahead, Dana.
Go ahead, Dana.
No, it was really quick that no one mentioned that I thought was an interesting factor and kind of maybe plays into a theory. The girl that Kanan likes, everything's slipping my mind at this moment.
Davina.
Davina, she has a daughter. Wasn't it a daughter? A baby?
See, is that a sibling or?
That's something that I was questioning last week.
Was that a daughter? Yeah.
They said it was a sister.
A sister. Okay.
But I mean, I don't know, man.
I don't know. See, I just kind of really questioned it.
Yeah.
You know.
That's what she was telling Kanan. That's her sister. So I thought that was her daughter. But
that could be a twist that's coming. You know, it could be hers.
Which kind of could lead into another theory. What happens? Remember the whole thing with Sean, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Sean is his son, but what if it's his son and not really his son? We don't know.
That's
just
true.
Throwing it out there. We don't know, because just like with the kid, we don't know if Davina has another kid within this whole series. I mean, they're around 15 or so, right? So we don't know whether or not she ends up pregnant by someone else, and then something happens to her. Because we all know that all these characters are not going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Something happens to her. He raises Sean as his own, but it's not his own.
That's possible.
Like biologically owned. So I was just, when I saw that baby, I was like, oh, I was kind of upset, but it wasn't a boy, because I was like, oh, there goes Sean. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that could be the case. I do think we will see the origins of Sean though throughout this series.
At some point, yeah. But those are very good theories. So we'll see.
Yeah. So my final takeaway is just that it's clear to me now after watching Raquel for 3 episodes, she plays dirty, and she is playing she is playing by the Stringer Bell playbook.
Oh, really?
Her and Stringer Bell play by the same book. And you see it by how, the rule. What's the rule of the number one rule in the street is don't snitch, don't cooperate with police. But she's using the police to, do her dirt. She used Howard in this case. Like that would be considered a dirty move in the streets to do that, So clearly she does not care. She's out to do whatever it takes to survive, and to, keep her son safe. So she's playing by a very, very dirty playbook. She doesn't care about the code of the streets. And, that is what I have observed about her character. And I do have questions about this later, so we could
I think Dana had a question.
Here's the thing. We kind of knew that because remember her first boo was killed for snitching. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like she, in her way, mourned him. It wasn't like, oh, well, he snitched. He got what he got. Moving on to the next one. Cougar, rawr. Instead, it was like, she really felt something. And she was kind of sad about it. She didn't disown him. So I don't really think that, unless it involves her, like her being snitched on, I don't see that she has a problem with the overall theme of snitching.
Yeah, clearly she doesn't. Yeah, she doesn't. But,
like if it benefits
I was just making it clear, after 3 episodes, it's clear she's playing by a different handbook. So, and that leads, into the question. I might as well just, say this question now because my takeaway is over with. So since we're already on Raquel, right? The question is, get ready because this is a deep one.
Mm-hmm. That's what you said.
Should we respect Raquel or should we hate her? And the reason I asked this question is because look at the evidence in question so far, right? She killed D-Wiz. She ordered him to be killed. A young boy, 15 or whatever, right? She then proceeded to show up at the mother's house, the mourning mother, prayed with the mother, with her son, who was D-Wiz's best friend and is also hurt by this, right? she did this like she did nothing wrong at all, like a psychopath or something, like a sociopath, right? She dropped dime on the drug deal, which we saw, and she also microwaved a dog in the first episode. So, you know, with all of this evidence, with her rap sheet and everything we know about her, should we respect Raquel, or are we meant to hate her? So, Dana, what is it? Like, what do you think about that?
I'm muted. Okay, I think that we are not. See, I can respect Raquel because she is someone who is willing to do what is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't hate her. I think that, you know, she did everything that she has done that was necessary in order to protect herself, protect the family, protect the business. And yes, it's unfortunate that D-Wiz is murdered and that he is a kid, but children are involved in this situation, and therefore they know of the consequences. And while it's unfortunate, that's just, you know, it is what it is. In terms of the dog, that was kind of just a power play, because like, oh, you think you're gonna slight me and think you're better than me, roasted the dog. You know, that was terrible but hilarious at the same time. So I don't view her as a villain. I view her as someone who is not going to be disrespected. And as a woman in the industry, you're going to have to be considered harder than the other people, even though she's literally reacting and doing the same things as a man would do.
Right. Okay. And how do you feel about it, Rich?
Yeah, I think these characters are supposed to be complex in nature. Yes, she's doing what she has to do to survive as also a boss. She is the one that's in charge of this entire operation. So she's going to do stuff that certain people don't like. I know, go back to what you mentioned earlier about certain characters on The Wire. Yeah, we probably like those characters, but they were not necessarily positive in their actions and what they did to others. Even if you want to talk about another example, Tony Soprano on The Sopranos, this is another character that a lot of people dislike, but yet you still are rooting for the character to, if something happens to the character, say somebody is close to him gets killed, you want to see him get revenge. I recall him killing his own brother-in-law on the show. So stuff like that, I feel like the character is meant to be complex. Do I dislike the character though? I don't dislike the character. I appreciate and respect the hustle, but I do know that at some point, you know, anytime you do something bad, it comes back to you. And I will be curious to see exactly what that is, because we know that she is not anywhere to be found in the current modern day Power series. So I would assume something happened to the character. It's a question of, was Unique the one that ultimately, you know, was successful in taking her out, or is it someone within the family, such as Kanan or the brothers? I feel if it is Kanan, well, yeah, that would explain a lot of why the character is the way that he is, and is you know, has no remorse whatsoever. But again, it's too early for us to know for sure. They just want to give you tidbits as to what these people were like, and so that when stuff happens later, you have a bigger explanation as to why it led to that. But yeah, I think she's meant to be complex in nature. I definitely don't dislike the character. I like that she's presenting herself in the way she has to, although I did not like the fact that she ordered that hit on D-Wiz. But again, that had to happen because they made it very clear when someone gets killed, the street code is that there needs to be another person that gets killed to take his place. What we didn't see in this episode was how that paid off, because this whole episode was then focused on, well, now we need to get intel on Unique's next move to stop him. So that's why I'm very curious to see what happens in the next episode, because I still expect people to come after Kanan and the family. It just didn't happen in this episode because, as you both said, this is a setup to what's happening next. But yeah, I don't dislike the character. I question some of the things that they do, obviously, but whatever if they do something bad, it always comes back on you, no matter what. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, great points from both of you, and I agree. For the most part, like these are complex characters. These characters live in a certain environment where these things are sort of like the norm. There's a lot of backstabbing, a lot of betrayal. That's what it was like. Living in that neighborhood in that era, right? And I'm also from the cloth of, because I read a lot of books, and I see the discussions people make about books when they say, "Oh, I don't like none of these characters because they did this, and this. Like none of the characters are likable." I'm not from that cloth. Like for me personally, I feel like the characters don't have to be likable for me to enjoy the story. They just need to have depth. There needs to be an understanding of why they are making the decisions they're making. And the darker the character, I think they're more interesting. But that might be because I don't know, like maybe I'm a dark person, I don't know, but like we all have a darker side, so that's just something I kind of enjoy. Like I like dark, complex characters like that. I like examining them and trying to get into their head and understanding what they do. So, I like Raquel as a character, but to play devil's advocate, she has done some pretty wicked things, and just to deep dive into this a little bit more and keep playing that devil's advocate. I want to say that she had D-Wiz killed, right, to protect Kanan, so that she could make a deal and say, okay, look, Buck got killed, so here's a body for a body, so let's resolve this, and let's keep Kanan out of this, right? So that was the whole reason she did that. But then on the flip side of that, she is now doing Unique dirty by she set up this thing in this episode to have that deal hit by Howard and everything. So how does she think that is going to go once people find out what happened there? Like doesn't she think that it's going to be cause and effect? Like if Unique finds out what's going on, he's going to be like, you know what, let's go at them, let's go right back at them, like and then Kanan is going to be once again at risk. So what's up, Rich?
I just was going to say that's a very good question. It's as if the character she is very confident in her abilities. She doesn't really care. She's going to do what she wants to do and not really worried about the consequences, because we do know that when she spoke to Unique a couple episodes ago, he said that he called off the hit, but he was not responsible for what could happen with others who just still want to go after. So he could easily say, okay, now the hit is on Kanan once again. And I don't know if she really thought through any of that. I would assume she had, because the thing is that you did that. But I think the biggest issue is that at the end of this episode, like the fact that Unique saw Lulu and Marvin there, that's a bad look, because now it looks, maybe she could have thought, oh, well, the bust just happened. Maybe she would have made it so that he would think that it just happened. It just so happened that the police caught him and no one knows any information. But the fact that those two were there, that's going to come right back on her. So that's where it was going to backfire. And since you're also talking about Raquel, one other thing I did want to mention, because I don't know if you were going to go in this direction, the relationship with Symphony. Do y'all get the sense that obviously she likes to talk to him? We know he's very intelligent. He's always talking about architecture, buildings, and stuff like that. Do you see that she wants to gain this information from him, because eventually they may have to get another spot in the future down the road to stash their supply or whatever? As they expand, they have to get another place to consider stashing whatever they have, because I don't know if the bodega is going to work out fully. I mean, I mean, as they grow more and more, if they continue to do business and business expands, they have to get another spot, I would think. So I'm thinking that she's sort of, obviously she likes the guy, likes to get physical with him, stuff like that. But I think the long-term focus, I don't think she's just sticking with this guy just because. There has to be some type of thing that she's thinking about how he could benefit what I'm doing without being fully involved in the actual drug stuff.
Oh yeah, she's definitely super calculated. So I do think she is she's doing something with this information that she's getting from him, and maybe she does like him also, and she looks for that comfort. I don't think she's 100% using him. Like I don't think that. I think there's a little something, but I do think that she is calculative as well, and she's getting something out of something more out of this than what people think. So
really, I don't see that at all. I got the complete opposite. I got the fact that she was, she has physical needs, and that's what he is there for, and probably whatever information she can get out of him. I see her manipulating him in that sense, and I see him not knowing the full manipulation tactic. I mean, he just kind of made himself at home in that sense. But he's as the children would say, an F-boy.
Yeah, I mean, because of what he did, like sitting at the computer with his clothes off, I agree. Just for that
move. Yeah, that was a territorial move. Grown man walking around naked at the computer, knowing you have a kid.
Well, let me ask the question. Do y'all want to give him a little bit of slack? He tried to stop when the last episode, when she first engaged him, he was the one to say, "Hey, hold on, we don't need to do this right now." And then she takes off, just like in every other movie, the woman takes off the jacket. Oh, look at what she got on underneath, hardly any clothes. And then there you go. Oh, now I have to, So that's why it felt like he tried to stop it, but no. She said, she initiated and said, no, it's happening right now.
I mean, he's trying to have a little bit of respect for the household, but again, maybe it's a territorial thing. That's like, you're not the man of the house situation. You don't rule over me. But
I want to see Kanan rough him up in this season, just because of that. Like I want to see that.
You're both kids. What are they? Literally, like what? 3 years apart? Maybe 10? Maybe 10.
Maybe
10. Maybe 10.
Wait, because Kanan's it
15.
could be. Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, I think it's like
10.
10.
It's close to 10. Close to 10, if not 10 on the dot. Yeah, because he's college.
Well, yeah, maybe less than. I don't know. It's weird. They're trying.
But yeah, like anything else about Raquel you wanted to say for next question?
No, I just really respect what she's doing. I don't see her as some type of evil person yet.
The only thing I will say, the final thing I will say about Raquel is that, as you've already mentioned, Gary, she's been very cold and calculated. She's made a lot of moves. Only thing I will say is her moves are not done yet. So we'll see what she does next. But I am very curious. You brought up a very good point. Because of this whole thing with Unique and the fact that he now knows that she had something to do with that corner thing, or at least he suspects, I'm very curious to see what her move is going to be now, because that's obviously Unique. He can tell, hey, I know I canceled this hit on Kanan. Now it's back on 100%. And maybe I'll even double the bounty if you kill him and you kill the rest of them too. So I'm curious to see how she's going to react in the next episode, because you don't do that move without thinking about what could be the consequences that come after that. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I mean, Unique could play it in many ways, like because he physically saw Lulu and Marvin he might decide to clap back at them first only, and because he actually saw them there, so he probably suspects that they did something, right? So he might not go directly at Raquel or Kanan right away. He might go for the uncles, but then it can escalate from there, So like if there's a back and forth situation, eventually he might be like, you know what, let's go at Kanan, let's go for Raquel and Kanan. So yeah, it could be like an escalation type thing, but yeah, we'll wait and see. But I do want the listeners to chime in on that question. Like, what do you guys make of Raquel? What do you think of her and the decisions that she's made so far in Raising Kanan? Please let us know, because I want to hear more takes on that. So yeah, I mean, we pretty much covered all these questions now. So the next question was going to be, will Unique clap back next week? Because he saw Lulu and Uncle Marvin. We pretty much covered that already. But like, Dana, do you have any thoughts on what Unique might do after what we saw at the end of this episode?
Well, it's called stick and move. Someone's gonna get sticked and moved. So, no, I do see there being some kind of retaliation between that, and I do see also a lot of misunderstanding going on between the characters. So, I do. I see it has to happen that way. I mean, it would. Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I just wanted to add, yep, I do believe something's going to happen. Also, the fact that now Kanan is out there selling. Again, Raquel does not know this. And that's why I say that's a vulnerability right there, if he ever finds that out.
I think that I know that Raquel is very, she's she has a handle on her emotions. She's not someone who's gonna go out there and react, irrationally right. You know what I mean? That gut reaction. Yeah. I do see her being calculated, but I also see her being someone where if you do something that she says not to do with her son, that bond that they have, that she will easily retaliate in an emotional way that she wouldn't normally do, because it is her son and that closeness with it. And the fact that she wants him starting out at like a lower position and he's right there on the block selling, and they did that whole thing where it was like, and I made my first sale, and like he was really happy about that situation with the white kid in the park. He was like a hippie, and how he just like taught him how to do it, and there was that sense of pride that he had with it. So this is something that I don't see him not. Well, we all know what ends up happening in the end, but I see that this is something that sparks him. Like he was really proud of that moment, and the fact that the uncle is hiding that from the mother. I do see this being a huge clash where I don't want to say she's going to just, I'm going to kill you, but there's going to be a lot of friction between the two, and Kanan will have to pick a side. And I think that he's going to end up choosing his uncle for that, even though he sacrificed the land.
Especially if he finds out what really happened with D-Wiz.
Right. And so that could be a retaliation. You can sit and say, you have those arguments and like that moment where like a coincidence, the kid walked in. So you can have one of those argument situations, and then and that's why you killed D-Wiz. And then he walks in and he's like, Mom, that kind of situation. And how, because we saw this with Tariq. Remember when Tariq, every time he was upset and threw a fit, he ran to Kanan. I remember he was staying with Kanan for a while. And there was a point where Kanan was going to kill him, but they were staying with Kanan for a while. So I see there being that kind of argument, and he ends up staying with the uncle type of situation.
Yeah, that is an excellent observation. And to add to your point, I would say it feels as though this episode teased not only that relationship being something that blossoms, but also Jukebox moving closer to Raquel. Because you notice in this episode that they both go to each other's places, and they're talking to the parents. And the way that they have portrayed Jukebox, like she's cool with her dad, but she's not really close. Like remember when he went to go pick up Kanan, she didn't want to ride. She says, "No, I'm good. So it kind of feels like there's a little bit of distance in that relationship, but now you see she's trying to, once again, get close to Raquel by leaving the stolen clothes there. So that could definitely be how things are going to turn out with those characters.
Well, something ends up drawing Kanan and Jukebox closer for you to tell him that you're gay. Remember, that's the first person that she tells, that we learned in the Power series, that she confides in him and she trusts him that much. Now, I don't know whether or not he ends up betraying that trust. Well, no, I don't think he does, because we see them later together in the other Power episodes.
Oh yeah, later he does. Later.
But you can betray that trust. She's like a full-grown woman working with the police department by then. But we don't know whether or not they end up betraying that trust, because they kind of switch off with parents. But I feel that there might be a tension between the two of them. Definitely not now, but somewhere down that road. Because I see Raquel being the kind of person, because we know that it's Kanan that she tells first, but if you look at the show, to me it felt like in that moment she was going to tell Raquel that she was with a woman, woman, female. So, but she didn't do that yet. So I don't know if something happens where they break apart and they don't have that comfortability and safety that she feels within Raquel, because it's actually Kanan. Maybe it's something where Kanan finds out and catches them in a moment and they're kissing or something. But I'm really interested in knowing the dynamic and how it ends up fracturing between that.
Very good points.
Yeah, excellent points indeed. A lot of great takes on the different relationships between Raquel, her brother Kanan, and Jukebox. So again, people listening, definitely chime in, let us know what you think of these situations also. And going back to Unique, I do think that what might happen next week is I think we might see a conversation between Unique and Howard, because Unique is going to have a lot of questions about what went down, because we know that Unique and Howard, they sort of had an understanding from that last episode when they spoke to each other, right? So I think maybe they will have a conversation, and I'm going to be interested to see what Howard will say in that conversation, because will he admit to the fact he spoke to Raquel, or will he deceive and play both sides?
That girl is such a throwaway. I don't like her. She just comes across as so annoying.
Who? The partner?
The partner. No. Okay. Like, I know that she's new and she's frustrated and she wants to make a name for herself. I feel that Howard, I keep calling him Omar, but Howard, he's settled in his job. He's settled in his place in life because he's been at that job for so long. He's probably not fazed by certain things, like, oh, we didn't catch the killer. Okay, well, I'm going to go home now. Well, she's more like wants to close the case on everything and wants to get this guy. And you remember the opening scene, how she was roughing up the guy, get on the wall. And they was making fun of her because he was like, no one says that unless you're new. So that kind of dynamic, I find her being just so gosh darn annoying. But I wonder if she is going to end up not necessarily with another partner, or she's going to start complaining about Howard and his situation. At this moment, I cannot see them confiding in each other, just because she's just annoying. But at this moment, I just can't see them confiding in, that could change later on. But I don't see them in that close. You know how you've been with that partner? They haven't really been with each other for so long. And I just kind of see, he gave that monologue that was like, I'm not supposed to be doing this. In the car, and I wonder if she is going to end up partnering with someone else or complaining about Howard, and that now the eyes or whatever it is, the upper people will be more invested with Howard and what he's doing and whether or not it's illegal side activities. Because I know at this point you can say Howard literally has nothing to lose. he's dying. And in fact, and it's such a rare and aggressive cancer, he can easily be out of here in a matter of months. Yeah. You know, so I don't even know if he'll make it through the whole first season. I don't. And also the thing with Howard, I don't know, but I kind of feel that he will end up confiding more in Raquel about what's really going on with him. I don't know the closest of their relationship, but wouldn't it be interesting if she is the one who's able to find a match because he needs the bone marrow donor?
You know, I thought I thought that conversation was going to happen when they met up. I thought he was going to tell her that, but I guess we'll have to wait for that moment to happen because if he's not trying to do it quickly.
No, but he's going through that crisis where he's like, I'm respected. I'm King Kong, that kind of training day. I was waiting for him. Like, he basically gave the King Kong monologue to himself in the car.
Yeah.
So
and then,
I wonder. Yeah.
Yeah, you said a lot of interesting things there, and but what was you going to say, Rich? Because I have some things to.
Oh, no, I just want to say, yeah, he gave the King Kong monologue and then goes into the office and gets chewed out by his boss. Yeah, that's interesting.
But wasn't that a great dynamic between, like, oh, the streets respect me more than my boss does, so he could easily turn that way.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
There's no escaping that chain of command when it comes to policing. that's another thing The Wire taught us. So, but just to bounce off of some of those things that Dana brought up, like, I definitely think there is going to be a lot of tension between Howard and his partner, because we see in this episode that he takes a lot of jabs at her, and then later on in the episode she says something smart. You know, I can't remember the exact conversations or the words they were saying, but she calls out something when they're during the stakeout. You know, because there was another car driving by, and she was like, you know, that's like the third time that car drove by. And then Howard was like, yeah, you good looking, like, you know, good looking out, because they must be scouting the spot. And then, you know, she does like a callback to what he said to her earlier. And she's like, yeah, see, I'm not that slow, or whatever it was. Like, I can't remember exactly what he said to her, but yeah. So he's jabbing at her a little bit, you know. So I think that is going to cause some tension between them. And then, you know, when she sees that Howard is playing dirty with regards to the street stuff, you know, I think that, you know, she might end up going to the boss or whatever. You know, so yeah, I definitely feel like that is coming. There was something else you said, but what was it? I don't know. If it comes back to me, it does, but I'm not going to hold up the show. But yeah, I'm definitely keen to see like how things are going to play out with Howard and his partner, because there's like so many ways that can go now. And going back to Unique, it would be very interesting if he plays both sides of the fence with Raquel and Unique now, like just seeing that dynamic and yeah. But yeah, I'm all out of questions. So, I mean, is there anything else you guys wanted to, you know, touch on from this episode, or anything that you wanted to expand on that we discussed already?
I mean, I'm certainly curious as to what it is that you was going to say and you forgot. I would assume it was about Howard or his diagnosis or the training day monologue or something to that degree.
Yeah, but it was something regarding what Dana was talking about, but I can't remember now. It just completely slipped my mind because, you know, because we were talking and stuff. So, but yeah, if it comes back to me, I'll bring it up. But yeah, I mean, overall, like we said earlier, you know, this was one of those episodes where it was like, you know, it's setting things up. So I think it's going to get very juicy next week. You know, every season kind of has the, you know, at least one or two of these episodes where it's like it slows down a bit and it's building up to something. And this was one of those episodes. But I will say that they still managed to keep it interesting, even though it was a building episode. because I recall we did the Snowfall aftermath, for that last season of Snowfall, and I
Yep.
believe it was like episode 7 or something was pretty slow, and it was like noticeably like a slow episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with this, it's like it was a slower episode, but it was still very deep and very entertaining. Like there was still a lot to take from it. So I appreciate that, with in terms of the writing and the storytelling of this show. They've definitely stepped it up a whole lot. I guess they have a lot of new writers and stuff at their disposal. So much power to them. Power to the power team and stars. So
Yeah.
and don't forget you can hire us. We're available. If you need some extra.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, it's possible.
But, yeah.
50 Cent may watch this video at some point and say, "Yeah, that this Uncle Gary guy is
Uncle
somebody
Gary.
I need to pursue."
Oh God.
Yeah, but was there anything else at all you guys wanted to say before we wrap things up?
No, I just really like the relationship building that they're doing, and we're only on the 3rd episode, and they're establishing such great characters and setups and how they introduce the new characters. I want to know more about how, I guess you would call him the Kingpinish. I can't remember his name.
Dean.
Dean.
Yeah.
I want to know how Dean gets. I know that they made the statement that he doesn't get his hands dirty. He lets the underlings do everything. He just collects his money and he's happy. But I wonder, just by showing him, will we get any more from him? Involving this whole situation. Yes.
Well, I was gonna say I think he's gonna get his hands dirty now. He find out that Smurf, Papa Smurf, was gave some information he wasn't supposed to give, but we'll see.
I know, but the thing, I feel like the second that you do something that you're not supposed to do, you end up getting caught.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the whole thing with American Gangster, when you're not supposed to dress flashy, and at one time he dressed flashy and it brought his whole thing down
Oh yeah.
because he wanted to wear that coat. So don't wear the coat. Just keep doing what you're doing and you'll be fine. But I really like the character developments of everyone. I want to learn more about their relationships and how everything falls apart. And I'm kind of sad because at this moment you have people who are really happy in their relationships and just happy at where they are in their place, and you know that's not going to last.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing can be sweet for too long.
Oh, that's so sad. That sounded like a good Snapple thing. I don't know if you have it in the UK, but they're like, you have the Snapple. I don't know if you have Snapple in the UK, but there's a drink called Snapple.
I don't think we do.
Yeah, there's a drink
it's called something else, I'm sure.
The Snapple. But in the UK, no, and here in America we have a drink called Snapple, and on the cap it gives you Snapple facts, and what you said sounded like a nice Snapple fact.
Oh wow. Well, next time I'm over there, I need to get myself a Snapple. Then.
You got to get a Snapple. It's really nice.
All right, cool. So, Rich, you had nothing else, right?
Oh no, I'm just going to say another great episode. Thank everybody for continuing to support the show, and definitely leave your comments because we're very curious to hear what your theories are as well on the show.
For sure. And yeah, that leads right into our shout outs. And, I just want to say thank you to all the people who support. Thank you to everyone who actually liked the video last week and everything like that. All of that stuff helps us in the algorithms because the algorithms are, working against us. But if you like this and you want to support us, then, it is key that you do hit the like button and comment, let us know your thoughts and everything like that. Engage with the show.
And turn notifications on so that you can get a notification when this video and the other videos drop.
Absolutely.
Yeah, hit the bell, subscribe, all of that. And big shouts to Anna as well, because she's been listening. She's been giving some feedback as well. So I want to give shouts to her. And yeah, everyone else, man. And big shouts to you, Dana, as well, for all the work you're doing. I know you've got some like a lot of stuff lined up.
We have stuff that's official now. So yay!
Very official.
We can very official.
Dana is proper connected. Like she's like a real, industry person. Like she's Hollywood now. So
Hollywood. I'm a little bit. No, I'm not. I'm joking. I'm no one.
Yeah, for real. And shouts to you also, Rich, of course. The editor in chief, the guy, the glue that holds everything together. So.
Well, thank you. Yes, I have some stuff coming as well. Stay tuned.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, so Dana, do you have any shout outs or anything?
Shout outs to everyone who has been listening. I have to learn how to talk. So shout outs to them. We will have more Power coming. We have more 50 Cent shows that are coming that I can say. We have a bunch of other shows. I got approval for the TV Critics Association, so that includes a lot of the Stars, is in Stars Z, the network Stars with Z. We watch Power. So we have that. We're waiting for BMF. So I know Gary's really excited about that. We have that. We have a lot of Netflix shows that are coming. We got Aquafina is coming, and a lot more Disney. We got Free Guy that's coming up with a really interesting interview on how that's going to pan out. I'm just waiting for more confirmation that I can say. So it's going to be a very busy August.
Wow. It sounds like your schedule is crazy.
I have three. Yes, it's a lot. Prayers.
I'm glad I don't have your schedule.
Well, talk about your stuff, Mr. Gully.
Yeah, Gully. That's right.
Yeah. We'll save that for later. But, how about you, Rich? Any shout outs?
Oh yeah, a shout out to everybody that left a comment last week that liked the video, has been checking out all the content we have. As Dana mentioned, there's a lot of things coming in August. And for those of you who don't know, there are quite a bit of other shows that we do watch. We just don't do podcasts on. So if you do want to hear our opinions on some other shows, feel free to let us know in the comments what shows that you watch or you think that you would like to hear our opinions on. Because believe me, there's a ton of shows I watch. I just don't jump on a podcast every so often, but I will gladly do that if I know people want to hear what I think about other certain shows. So feel free to let us know about that in the comments as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. There is a lot more shows I want to chime in on too. And we might not necessarily do an episode by episode for everything. Like some things, it might just be like a one-shot review. But there are some things I definitely want to speak on in the future. But yeah, definitely do what Rich said. Let us know what shows you guys enjoy watching. We might even put up like a suggestion box thing, like where we allow people to like submit the episode, the TV shows they watch and stuff, and then we'll see which ones that we actually enjoy and might cover in the future. So yeah, definitely let us know because we do enjoy doing this. And the Koalition, at the Koalition we cover many things. We cover movies, TV shows, and also video games. So you can go to the website thekoalition.com. We have a lot of written reviews also, and written editorials and things of that nature. So if you are into pop culture, video games, movies, TV shows, comic books, whatever it is, there might be something at the site for you. So do take the time to check that out, as well as the rest of the content on the YouTube channel. And yeah, that is pretty much it for today. So thanks for tuning in. We will be back next week, to cover episode 4 of Raising Kanan. Until then, have a good week, everyone. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves.